Alrighty, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Hope everyone's doing well. Today is June the 18th. It's a Wednesday today. We have FOMC later into the day at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, along with Jerome Powell speaking. We'll talk about that a little bit more here in a second. Good morning. What's up, everyone? Good morning. What's up, KO? Good morning. I'm always going to pronounce that. I'm curious to see. Yeah. What's up, everyone? Good morning, B Roots. Kennedy, first time here. Glad you joined. What's up, Jeff, Audrey, Martin, Bonnie, Daniel, Ryan. Good morning, Robert, Juan, Daniela, Wayne, Vate. Good morning, Katrina, Steven, Paul, Josh, Dominic, Henry, Desire. Good morning, Raymond. Koss. Good morning, Kuta, Kel, Sven, Edison, Flying, Todd. What's up, Mohammed? Anyone here? Yeah, if you're asking those questions, Cass, Carlos, Seed. Good morning, Jen, Infinite, Alejandro, Adrian, Ray, Andreas. Yeah, hope everyone's doing well. Let me resize my screen here as well. Let's do that before we get started. Today, really the major red folder news event is going to be FOMC. I'll pull this up here. Generally speaking, before FOMC, we don't have too much that happens in the markets. I should just pull this up. We do have unemployment this morning here as well. So as you can see at 8:30, we have unemployment. Usually this happens on Thursday, but the markets are actually closed tomorrow. So no stream for tomorrow since the markets are closed for the Juneteenth holiday. So 8:30 unemployment this morning. We'll talk about this here in a second. We also do have FOMC later into today at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So as you can see here, we have FOMC, and then at 2:30 we have Jerome Powell speaking. This always happens. So we have the actual FOMC release, and then Jerome Powell will start speaking at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So these are the major red folder news events coming into today. And with that being said, let's go over some charts. So coming into today, as you can see for the ES, we're still basically consolidating here on the 1 hour time frame. If you just drew out a box, really this is the low of the range. High of the range is your 6100 that we've been not able to get above. This is your Monday's highs that we end up rejecting. And I can see right yesterday, we ended up rejecting off key areas, and we're now just right back inside really the middle of the range, right? Equilibrium on the ES. So coming into today, I don't really have too many levels. Levels I just have marked out is number one, your 60 80 your 60 68, along with the low of the range, which is your 60 28. ES ended up gravitating towards the downside yesterday. Once we got back underneath its previous day lows, we ended up having this nice push down in towards your 60 28. Really, this ended up dropping later into the session, and then you can see in the overnight session we end up having a little bit of reaction off this general area. So coming into today for the ES, key levels is, as I mentioned, your 60.28. You're going to keep an eye out on your overnight lows for any sort of reaction. We can also now mark out your previous day lows here as well for the ES. Let's actually just do that right now. So we can have this marked out. This is your previous day lows here. So you want to see the reaction that we have off of this general area for the ES. If we can maintain above your 60.45, we can see a potential push back up in towards your 60.68. I do expect a little bit more consolidation pre-FOMC. So we'll just mark out really just our high and the low, and we expect it to be inside of a range. Let's go into the SPY chart. The SPY chart in this case, key levels that we have marked out is our 595.50 along with our 60.50 here as well. So for the SPY, as you can see, we're about to open out right inside the middle of the range for the SPY coming into this morning. Levels that we're going to have marked out is just going to be now your pre-market lows from yesterday. I don't expect too many good trading opportunities in between really 650 along with this 595.50. This is a pretty big range. As you can see, this is a 5-point range. I do expect most of the markets to consolidate within a 2 to 3 point range coming into FOMC. So now the levels we'll have marked out. You can mark it this level right here, which is your pre-market lows from yesterday, along with multiple touches from yesterday here as well. So kind of just drag this over. Coming into market open, what we'll keep an eye out on is your 598.50s. If you can reclaim, hold above your 599.50s, we can see a potential move up and towards your 600 key psych. If we do get underneath your 598.50s, you could see a little bit of a bigger push back down in towards your pre-market lows and potentially your previous day lows here for the SPY. As I mentioned, we do have FOMC, so anything that we do take earlier into the session is going to be on lower sides because we do have a major news event later into the day. Let's go on to the NQ chart. So NQ key levels that we have marked out yesterday was our pre-market lows along with our Monday's lows as well. So you can see we have multiple touches. Once we finally broke underneath your pre-market lows, that's when we end up having a nicer move towards the downside on the overall markets. You can see currently we're right at your Monday's lows, which is your 22.013. If we can reject off your 22.013, we could see a little bit of a bigger push back down in towards its pre-market lows and potentially below, which is your overnight lows here for the NQ. For the QQQ, key levels that we do have marked out is going to be this 530.50. You can see we end up filling the gap on the QQQ overnight, right? We actually didn't fill the gap in the actual market sessions, but you can see markets end up gravitating down in towards your gap that we created over the weekend, which is your 527. That's where some buyers end up stepping in the overnight session and push price all the way back towards the upside. So coming into this morning, the levels that we're going to have marked out is just going to be your 530.50, similar to the NQ. If we can maintain underneath your 530.50, you can see a little bit of a bigger pushback down in towards your pre-market lows and potentially your previous day lows being your 528. If we end up reclaiming your 530.50, there is a possibility that we push back up in towards your 532 here. So for the SPY and Qs, right, those are at least the levels that you're going to be looking for price. In my opinion, you're going to be waiting for the first 30 minutes, and the first 30 minutes is going to determine what we're going to do for the rest of the day. If the first 30 minutes consolidates, we're most likely just going to do nothing until, right, the major FOMC news event at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So those are the levels for the SPY and the Qs. 530.50 for the SPY. It's going to be this 598.50. And then for the NQ, we have your 20.013. ES key levels is your 60.46. So those are the levels I have marked up for the major indices. Now let's go on to a few tech names. So coming into today for Tesla, this one ended up just kind of pushing towards the downside here. Key levels that we have marked out was our previous low that we created on Monday. We actually got underneath it and had an immediate retest, and now you can see we're having a little bit of a bigger push back towards the downside here, back down in towards our Friday's lows. So for Tesla, yesterday we end up having this immediate retest off your previous day lows, nice push towards the downside, and then as the market was pulling back, this one, once we got back underneath this 323, we end up having this nice push all the way back down in towards your low that we created here on Friday. As for Tesla, I don't expect too much to occur until the robotaxi event that is going to be next week. So today, FOMC. Tomorrow, we do have a holiday Friday. We'll see what kind of shapes up after the holiday plus FOMC. And then over the weekend, we do have robotaxi that should release on the 22nd. So for Tesla, I don't expect too much to happen for the rest of the week. Key levels we are going to have marked out is going to be our 314. And we're also going to have our 323 marked out here as well. So really, these are the two levels I'd like to see the reaction off of. 314, potential kind of bounce play back towards the upside. Another push really for the upside, what I like to see is, right, kind of consolidation above your pre-market high, or really it's going to be above this 323 here for Tesla. Either way, I don't expect too many nice setups to shape up today. That's the thing. A lot of times with FOMC, you are going to get a little bit more consolidation. We'll see what kind of shapes up. I'm always open if there's relative strength. We always will be looking for a potential opportunity in the market. So that's what we have for Tesla, at least coming to today. Those are the levels we'll have marked out. As for NVIDIA, this one still very bullish here on NVIDIA. This one was not able to get back above our 145 yesterday. That was our key level. It's still holding up. You can see on Monday, we end up breaking out yesterday, just not able to get back above this 145 key pivot level. So this is still the exact same level we like to see get above if we do want to see continuation higher. So for NVIDIA, levels 145, we like to see right consolidation, break above 145, hold for this pushback towards the upside. Another scenario, immediate retest, break above for continuation higher here as well. So 145 is going to be your key pivot level that we like to see it above. Let me just add an alert here. As for NVIDIA, right, and also a potential scenario is if it just comes up to 145, could very much well reject and just come right back inside the range that we created here, 145 along with this 143. So trigger level for me above your previous day highs and your 145. As for Apple, this one still showing weakness compared to the overall market. You can see every pop has been shorted towards the downside. Key levels that we have marked out yesterday was our previous day lows. Once we got underneath our previous day lows much later into the session, we end up having a push down in towards our 195. So you can see, right, touch earlier into the day was not able to break back above your previous day highs, and then we end up pushing lower down in towards our 195. Higher time frames, there's still a little bit more room towards the downside, 195 along with our 193. So for Apple, key levels that we're just going to have marked out now, let's actually get rid of this. Key levels we're going to have marked out now is just going to be our previous day's low. So we can actually mark out this. Our previous day lows, 196 here on Apple. So you can see multiple touches. 196.50. This is a level that we like to see it maintain underneath if we do want to see a continue push back down in towards our previous day lows in this 195 here and below. So that's what we have for Apple coming into today. As for Microsoft, this one's still holding up compared to the overall markets. Key levels for Microsoft is going to be the break above our 480 for continuation. If we look at this daily chart, one of the most bullish daily charts here on the tech side, you can see above your all-time highs. Now we're consolidating above your all-time highs compared to the QQQ, which it has not reached all-time highs as of yet. My video tonight is actually going to be talking about relative strength and weakness, so that's going to be a good one. I haven't made a dedicated video talking about that, so that video is going to come out tonight at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As for a few other tickers here, Meta, the key levels that we have for Meta is our 704 or 704. Now we can honestly even readjust this here as well to our previous day highs along with our Monday's highs and our last week's key pivot level here as well. So for Meta, what we can have is right 703, we can have our 706 marked out. Now you can see Meta just has not got above your previous day high. So a couple touches here for more upside. Now it's fairly clear. What we like to see is number one, hold of your 694, right? That's your key level. Or we like to see, right, break above your 706 hold for this continue push back up and towards your all-time highs. Let me actually put an alert. All right, so key level for Meta is going to be your previous day highs along with your Monday's highs for continuation. As for Google just consolidating in between our 175 along with our 178. Key levels above your 178, we can see continuation. We could be looking for bounces off your 176. As for some potential kind of downside here, rejection off your 178 back inside the box. And for more downside, really the clear downside for me is going to be underneath 176. I would only be interested if it broke underneath your 176 and continued lower here. So for Google, keep an eye out on your previous day highs here. As for Amazon, what we do have coming into today here on Amazon is still the exact same levels as its two previous days. We have our 214 along with our 218. You can see multiple touches here on the higher time frames. What I would like to see now is the reaction that we have off your previous day highs. If you can get above your previous day highs, which is your 218, we can see continuation towards the upside. Besides that, what we'll be looking for is a potential kind of bounce play off your 214. So for Amazon, let's mark out this. We can mark out our 217.50 as a potential trigger level on Amazon. As for AMD, this one continuing higher relative strength compared to the overall market. This one had news 2 days ago, continuing to get bought up along with its daily time frame breakout. So yesterday, the key levels we had was our previous day highs. Once we ended up reclaiming that level, end up presenting a nice opportunity earlier into market open, reclaim of your previous day highs. So now you can see, right, nice push higher, hit our 130.50 and had a little bit of a pullback with the overall market. As for AMD, key level today is still going to be your Monday's highs. So your Monday's highs, as long as it maintains your Monday's highs, we can expect this one to continue back towards the upside. So 128 here for AMD is going to be the hold. Let me actually just readjust this. So 128 hold. We can expect continuation up and towards your pre-market highs and potentially your previous day highs. If we consolidate, break above your 129.70s, we can see a push up and towards your 130 here as well. So AMD, really the only ticker I'm somewhat interested in to potentially trade coming to market open, just because daily time frame breakout, it's not really going to care what the market does, if anything. So that's AMD. Besides that, every other ticker most likely just going to follow along with the major indices. So we'll keep an eye out on AMD coming into market open. Let me actually have this marked out. 129.80s is our key level. So that's what we have for AMD coming to market open. As for Netflix, this one has been consolidating. So for Netflix key levels, you're just going to have marked out your past 5 sessions here. Break above your 1229 for continuation here on Netflix for a pushback towards the upside. Besides that, very much well could reject and just continue back inside this range. So not too much to talk about for Netflix. The levels are fairly clear. Our level of consolidation here, your 1229 along with your 1211 here for Netflix. Okay, so yeah, that's really kind of just a quick overview of what I'm looking for coming to today. I'm not really seeing too much in the overall markets. A lot of times, as I mentioned for FOMC, it usually doesn't move, but sometimes every once in a while there's like kind of a weird trend or like a low volume trend that we'll have pre FOMC. Just historically speaking, there's usually not that big trending moves before FOMC. So most likely just going to be hands off for the first 15 to 30 minutes. If nothing shapes up, then I'm just going to call it and maybe come back later into the session at 2 p.m. Besides that, right, spine cues, middle of the range, setting up for a more choppy open, at least within the first 30 minutes to an hour. Tesla, similar thing. Only top watches I see is potentially NVIDIA, like some of the semiconductors continuation. So it'd be NVIDIA reclaim of your 145, AMD, potential break and reclaim back above your 129.75s for a push higher. Besides that, a lot of these other tech names are just consolidating and following along with the queue. So we'll wait for intraday relative strength and weakness. All right. If you guys do have any charts, you guys can drop them in the chat. We'll wait until unemployment here as well, which is going to be at 8:30. It's at about 10 minutes, so go over some charts, and then once unemployment hits, I'll develop my game plan a little bit further coming into the session. Yeah, hope everyone's doing well. If you guys do have any charts, you guys can drop in the chat. If you guys are enjoying this, appreciate if you guys drop me a like. Let's see, good morning. Congrats on 100K. Appreciate that, Sheldon. Good morning. What's up, everyone? Good morning. Can you trade options on TradingView through IBKR? I think you can. I think there's like a new feature that released a month or two ago. I personally don't use it. I might look into it. I highly doubt I'd ever use it just because I'm used to TWS, but I'm sure there is, they are trying to integrate that. All right, good morning. Let's go. Palantir, Jerome Powell yapping today. Yeah, and that's going to be at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, 2:30. So we have the FOMC release at 2 o'clock, and then we have 2:30. That's when Jerome Powell always comes on and talks. All right, so for Palantir, coming into today, key levels, previous all-time highs 135, and now what we also have here as well is your 139. That is also your previous all-time high. So for Palantir, this is the level, as you can see, touch here, nice used as support for continuation. Now we broke back underneath this level. What we like to see is really the reclaim back above your 139 base, above your 139 for this pushback towards the upside. So that's going to be the key level coming to today. If it rejects off your 139, creates a lower high, then we're just going to come back down, fill the very small gap if it does have any gap coming into today. I'd much rather be looking for the break above, retest above your 139, continuation towards the upside, back towards your previous day highs on this ticker. As for HIMS finally starting to break out here on the daily time frame. This one you can see starting to base. So starting to base and push back higher. If we're drawing out this trend line, technically we still haven't broken this daily trend line. We are building up some higher lows. So now let's see if we can have a strong candle close above this trend line along with your previous high that we created here on Monday. So for HIMS, we like to see the hold of our 58. And now we like to see the break above. It's going to be your 62 key pivot level. So for HIMS, key levels that we are going to have marked out, we can just mark out your Monday's highs here. What I would like to see is number one, the break above your previous day highs. And I like to see it gravitate back up and towards your Monday's highs being your 6160s. So for HIMS, this is what I have kind of played out. As long as it maintains above your 5850s, we can expect higher lows to be built in the overall market and continuation higher. So 5850s is going to be the line in the sand. As for Hood, this one's been consolidating ever since we had that big day, the inclusion within the S&P 500, which it ended up not getting included. That's when it ended up just consolidating. So after this big day, you can see it's just in between. It's news candle high along with this news candle low. I do expect Hood to eventually gravitate back up and towards your news candle high, being your 81 key psych. As for now, we can just have this marked out, which is really our 75 along with our 70. So until Hood can break back above, hold, we can expect it just be inside this range. We tried breaking above on Monday and holding above this level, but you can see end up rejecting yesterday and pushing back towards the downside. So if we do want to see more upside, reclaim back above your 75 along with break back above. Now it's going to be your previous day highs along with your Monday's highs. ARM, this one ended up having a nice breakout yesterday as well. If I remove quite a few levels here, ARM along with a bunch of other semiconductors pushing higher. So for ARM, key levels that we have marked out was our 141 from a few weeks ago. And once we were able to reclaim back above this level, you can see base on Monday and then nice break yesterday. Kind of had this downtrend that we formed, and then we ended up having a really explosive move towards the upside above your previous day highs. If you go back onto lower time frames, you can see nice retest, immediate push higher, retest off of our 143 previous day highs. Nice push towards the upside here on ARM. Now what we'd have marked out coming into today, similar thing, is just going to mark out our old highs that we'd like to see now turn into support. So key levels that we're going to have marked out is going to be number one, Monday's highs, and they're also going to have marked out here our previous day highs as well. So for ARM, we like to just see maintain higher lows. Your higher low key pivot level is going to be our 143.50s for a push back towards the upside. As for a few other levels here, we can mark out IWM. Small caps ETF key levels for IWM 209. So 209, you can see IWM a little bit weaker compared to the overall markets. Now as it's pushing back towards the downside, key levels on IWM is going to be number one. We can mark this out 206, and then we have levels below being your 205. So for IWM coming into this week, you can now see we're underneath your Monday's lows, and we end up gravitating back down in towards your last Friday's lows, which we can have marked out. So we can mark this out, last Friday's lows. You can see we end up breaking underneath here in the pre-market. But now if you do want some more downside underneath your previous day lows, underneath your Friday's lows of last week, retest underneath your 208.50s here for more continuation lower. So that's what we have for IWM. Let me scroll here as well. Let me do this. CRWV, we also do have red folder news in about 5 minutes. So CRWV, this one's just continuing higher. So you can see every dip so far getting bought up, just consolidating. We also had this kind of flag pattern forming on CRWV. And now you can see it's just continuing higher. So for CRWV, key levels that we have marked out is our 166.70s. We also have other levels here as well, 163.23. So for CRWV, you can see nice break. Now we just like to see it maintain above, right, your old highs and use these levels as support. So you can see CRWV gravitated up in towards your 163, end up pushing all the way back down in towards your previous day lows, but right, higher lows were still being built. And we end up having a nice continuation up in towards now our 174. So it's at all-time highs, key levels that we can have marked out 174, along with this pre-market high level. If you do want to see continuation, it's going to be above your 176 for a pushback towards the upside. How do you know when a level has been invalidated / mitigated? When it breaks the level. So if you have a point of invalidation, so let's say you're shorting CRWV, for example, or yesterday. If you're shorting CRWV yesterday, right down here, then your stop is going to be at high of day. So that's the level. Once it mitigates that level, right, you know you're wrong on your trade. So let's say, for example, entry, where's your stop? Right? A stop is similar to a point of invalidation. So where are you wrong on the trade? I know if price comes back up and towards your all-time highs or your high of day, I know I'm wrong. So that's your level. Once it hits that level, then it's mitigated. Gold. Yeah, I'll take a look at gold here, and then I'll take a look at a few more tickers before unemployment, and then I will develop my game plan coming into today. So for gold, a little bit of rejection still, as you can see, right, higher lows are being built. Still bullish order flow on gold. Key levels now I'd like to see is a reclaim back above your 3,400. You can see multiple touches. There's been a few shorting opportunities off your 3,400. What I would like to see reclaim back above for this continued pushback towards the upside, just because gold is still bullish on the higher time frames. If it holds underneath your 3,400, I can expect some more downside, but I'd much rather see, as I mentioned, reclaim, right, higher lows. This is where you can be looking for entries for this continued pushback towards the upside. As for SMCI, this one's a semiconductor, but really hasn't been doing too much with the overall market. Really just been consolidating for the better part of almost a month now here on SMCI. So key levels are the exact same. Now we can also have marked out, right, just your previous day highs as well. Not too much has changed on this ticker. So our previous day highs along with their last week's pivot high here as well. So for SMCI, number one has to reclaim and break above your Monday's highs for any sort of continuation. Okay, let's see. Yeah, we have about 1 minute until unemployment here. Let me scroll down. MVTS, I made great profit now. It's supporting maybe a week for, yeah. MVTS, no, these ones usually move. So good thing to note is that names like CRWV, NVTS, these can move without the market. Generally speaking, they don't have a reaction with FOMC just because they're small caps or they're mid caps. And they're not a part of, right, any sort of major ETF. Maybe like the small caps ETF, but they're not a part of SPY Qs, which usually is the most affected by FOMC. Of course, it's a huge news event. But if there's news or there's any sort of higher time frame break, sometimes you'll see these names will just move, even though the markets are consolidating. That's what I'm going to talk about today in my video, is just relative strength and relative weakness. I think that's going to be a really good video. All right, let me pull this back up. Let me see this as well. All right, so we just had unemployment. Let's wait for the numbers to come in here. All right, so it came on almost exactly where it was forecasted. So you can see previous negative 248 forecasted. This week was 246K, actual 245K, you can see came in line with expectations. So basically nothing happened here for the SPY and Qs. So neutral coming into today. So game plan is still the exact same. We can expect just a little bit more consolidation coming to market open just because we're inside of its range from its previous days. Similar here to SPY as well, right in between its range. Key levels still exact same, 598.50s. QQQ, it's going to be this 530.50. So that's what we have here on the Qs. As for everything else, quickly go over the tickers. Tesla, really still inside of the range. I don't expect too much to move before Robotaxi now. We'll have our key levels marked out and just base it off of intraday price action. As for NVIDIA, right, 145, my trigger level, previous day highs. AMD, we'll keep an eye out on our 128 Monday's highs along with this 129.70. And then really, yeah, not too much I see. Maybe an Apple continuation lower if it stays heavy with the overall market. Potential rejection offer 196. As for the rest of the names, we're really just going to base it off of now intraday price action. So we'll wait to see what happens for the first 15 to 30 minutes. Let me go over some few other tickers here as well. Let's go over some names that were continuing to show some strength. So Oracle, this one ended up having a nice push higher. Once it reclaimed back above, right, you can see holding that 15-minute order block that we talked about. Nice push up and towards our previous day highs. Not quite hit our last week's highs, but nice trade right off the bat up and towards that 115. Now you can see basically consolidating. Now what it's going to form is this huge kind of 1 hour trend. So I do expect a little bit more consolidation now on Oracle, but I like to see this 1 hour time frame. Then we can see this push eventually back up in towards our all-time high. So we'll be a little bit more patient on Oracle now. I'm not too interested in trading this one today, but previous day highs, previous day lows, you can see we're going to be inside of its range today here for Oracle. As for a few other tickers, right, TSM still higher time frames look solid. MU had a breakout as well on the daily time frame. Right here, you can see rejecting our daily gap, bottom of the daily gap, 123.04. That's where we end up gravitating towards yesterday. Now you can see it's coming back to retest our Monday's high. So as long as it maintains above our 121, what I would like to see is a break back above our 121 here and above. So key levels for MU coming into today, we're going to have our pre-market highs marked out. We like to see one of two things, right? I personally like to see the retest 121, and then we could be looking for the reclaim later into this session, right? You could be looking for the immediate retest right off the bat. This one's going to be a little bit more trickier. I'd much rather see the dip and then the reclaim later into the day. So that's what we have for MU. MU looks good here as well. Okay, yeah, I'll go over some more tickers for the next like 5 to 10 minutes. Let me scroll up here. Do you trade NAS 100? No, NAS 100 is Forex. They're all the same instrument. The Qs, right? The NASDAQ. If you trade Forex, then you're going to trade the NAS. Do you look at level 2 data at all when trading? I personally don't. Yeah, level 2, there's just other confluences. Some people use level 2, order flow, book map. I personally just look at the candles, and I have other confluences instead of using level 2. Still doing the 100? Yes, that will be coming up soon. I'm going to be giving away some stuff. Good morning. GLD, CRWV is the new kid on the block. Yeah, that one's honestly surprising me. Every single dip, I've talked about this for a while now. But yeah, CRWV, you can see every single dip just gone bought up ever since after earnings. This one, huge push towards the upside. We've been talking about this one for a while now, but every dip has so far gone bought up. It's not broken structure whatsoever, right? Higher lows are being built, and that's just a good indication of the markets are going to move higher, right? Don't short until, right, the structure breaks. And every single higher low, what can go higher, what can go higher will go higher, right? You don't want to try and anticipate a top. Everyone that's been short has been absolutely destroyed on this name. Now it's gonna, next level is really 200 key psych. All right, let's see. Oracle, yeah, I went over Oracle GLD. I already went over gold as well. Thanks. Are we really gonna try and trade today? FOMC cons are really good behave like zero. Yeah, usually like a good rule of thumb is you want to avoid FOMC at least before, right? You can, if you want to trade, you can come back later into the day at 2 o'clock and 2:30. That's when the volatility picks up. But beforehand, usually no one, at least everyone's waiting for it, right? there's very rarely going to be big moves pre-FOMC because now this is right. The markets have been consolidating for the better part of the past, right? The better part of the past few weeks. So the better part of the past few weeks. So everyone's waiting for FOMC. So very rarely, unless the markets were already trending beforehand, we can expect continuation. It would be very unrealistic that the markets all of a sudden will start trending and we'll have a huge explosive move today just because we're right inside the middle of the range. We're waiting for FOMC. So we have our markets, we have our levels marked out, and we'll wait for the reaction on the key levels, but we're coming into the day expecting no trades. So if a trade does present itself, it has to be A plus, and it has to be super clear as well. You're the best, brother. I'm just learning in funded accounts. Nice. 25K, solid, Patrick. But I think you see it as Carvana consolidating. Yeah, Carvana is just consolidating. If we're on the daily chart, just your previous pivot level here back from February, we were expecting kind of some buyers to step in. Now, what we like to see on Carvana, if you do want to see a pushback higher, is the break above your previous day highs. Break above your previous day highs. 295 for this continued push back up in towards potentially your 300, kind of your Monday's highs. Let's see, log in and show us your broker account. Or like right now. Let's see, was your trade on AMD opening drive, break and retest? Maloney trades live in front of students every day. Bro, if you know your Scarface deleted his automatic mark levels indicator, trying to find that video, but can't see it. I saw your recent video and use it as well. Yeah, there's some issues with it. Yeah, there's, especially when you're trying to, indicator is too hard. Like there's some regulations on YouTube as well. We ended up just closing it down. So until we get some more information, right, we're just gonna close it down for now. Are you going to go live at 2 p.m. Potentially later into the session? NQ Naz. Let's see. I was one of them. He doesn't show real P&L at all. It doesn't tell you when to exit. What are you talking about? Let's see. MP Materials. Yeah, every single trade that I've taken in the past few years has been on live in front of hundreds of students every single day. I mean, it's up to whatever. I have broker statements. I have live logins all over. If you want to find them, they're on my YouTube. You can go on Instagram as well. MP Materials. Yeah. Let's see what else. Yeah, coming into today, what we have here for SPY, right? Key levels are marked out. SPY 598.50s. QQQ. Similar level, right? It's going to be this 530.50. We'll see what shapes up coming to market open. We still have about an hour here, but you guys already know my game plan. Most likely going to be hands off until FOMC later into the session. If anything, right, it's going to be semis for a pushback higher. I should bring this down. NVIDIA key level 145. We also do have AMD, right, 128 along with this 130. So that's what we have for today. We'll see what kind of shapes up. As always, if you guys do want to join the watch list, that is free in the description below. Tomorrow is a holiday, so we don't have a pre-market prep tomorrow. It's going to be a day off for anyone that trades the NYC, the New York Stock Exchange at least. That's what's going to be closed. I'm going to call it a day here. If you guys do enjoy the pre-market preps, I appreciate if you guys drop me a like and sub, and I will see you guys all on Friday. All right. Take care, everyone. Have a great rest of the day.